Have you ever wondered what truly reveals someone's real character? What if the smallest, quietest actions spoke louder than any words? And what if 5 subtle observations could forever change how you see the people around you and yourself? Let's dive deeper than appearances. This isn't just a checklist of personality traits or a superficial read on behavior. What you're about to hear is rooted in over 2,000 years of ancient Stoic philosophy, a powerful framework that has helped people make sense of human nature in its rawest form. These 5 observations, though simple on the surface, hold the potential to reveal more about a person than hours of conversation ever could. They strip away the masks and expose the essence, who someone is when there's no pressure to impress, no reward to gain, and no audience watching. In today's modern, fast-paced world, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. But these timeless Stoic insights, the same ones that guided thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, are just as valuable now as they were centuries ago. So take a moment, clear your mind, because what you're about to learn won't just sharpen how you view others, it may quietly transform how you choose to live. Let's begin with the first and perhaps most telling lens. Number A, how they treat those who can't offer them anything. Throughout history, philosophers and wise observers have pointed to this one principle again and again. If you want to know someone's true character, watch how they behave toward people who hold no power over them, those who can't offer favors, status, or influence in return. This idea was central to Stoic thought. Seneca once wrote, "Treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you." When the possibility of gain is removed, when there's no benefit to be had, that's when someone's true nature surfaces. Are they kind simply because kindness matters? Or is their politeness just a tool, carefully deployed when there's something to be gained? In a society driven by transactions, status, and convenience, the Stoic principle cuts through the noise. It gives us a timeless standard to measure not just others, but ourselves. It shows up in the little things, how someone greets a janitor, tips a waiter, or acknowledges the effort of someone who's invisible to most. It might be a sincere smile, a warm thank you, a helping hand when no one's looking. These small gestures aren't small at all. They're windows into the soul. As we saw earlier, how someone treats those who offer them nothing reveals volumes about their character. But what happens in the moments that catch us off guard? The ones that aren't staged or expected? It's in these everyday, unscripted encounters that a person's true mindset quietly emerges. Someone grounded in compassion and humility will naturally respond with patience, grace, and warmth. Meanwhile, those who react with irritation or cold indifference often reveal something deeper, an undercurrent of entitlement, emotional detachment, or unchecked pride. Picture this: someone walking briskly down a crowded sidewalk, only to be lightly bumped into by an elderly passerby. A person rooted in empathy might offer a reassuring smile, a calm "no worries," and continue on. But someone impatient or self-absorbed might respond with a sharp glare, clenched jaw, or even an unkind word. These micro moments, barely noticeable to the world, expose the inner wiring of an individual. They are subtle but powerful reflections of a person's patience, emotional maturity, and ability to extend grace when it matters most. Stoicism reminds us, we may not control what happens around us, but we always control how we respond. And in that response, we reveal the principles we live by. Especially when dealing with strangers, people we may never see again, our reactions become even more telling. Do we choose peace over pride, patience over ego? Let's take it even deeper. How do they treat the vulnerable? This is one of the most profound litmus tests of character. Watch how someone interacts with the elderly, the homeless, or those from marginalized communities. It doesn't take much, a kind greeting, a small gesture of help, or even just acknowledgement, but these moments speak louder than grand declarations. On the other hand, those who ignore, dismiss, or even belittle the vulnerable often show a disconnect not only from others, but from their own humanity. Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What injures the hive injures the bee." In other words, we are all connected. When we neglect or degrade others, we are, in essence, wounding ourselves. By showing kindness in these seemingly insignificant moments, we do more than uplift others. We reinforce our own integrity. We sharpen our moral compass. We honor what Stoicism teaches us, that virtue lies not in being seen as good, but in doing good, even when no one is watching. In truth, while grand acts often attract attention, it's the quiet, consistent kindness, the smile, the helping hand, the simple respect for another's dignity, that paints the clearest picture of who someone really is. Previously, we explored how small, unnoticed acts of kindness reveal a person's core values. Now let's take that reflection a step further, because true character doesn't just influence our own path. It quietly shapes the lives of those around us. In today's fast-paced, self-centered world, moments of everyday virtue might seem rare, but that's exactly why they matter so much. Stopping to help a janitor clean up a spill, listening attentively to a stranger in distress, offering patience instead of irritation in a frustrating moment. These are not acts performed for applause. They are expressions of something deeper, a steady, invisible moral compass. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once advised, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Virtue isn't about looking good in public. It's about living by your values when no one's paying attention. So how do we ensure we're truly walking the talk? It begins with honest, Stoic reflection. Self-awareness is not a passive trait, it's a daily practice. Ask yourself, do I treat others with dignity, even if they have nothing to offer me? Am I patient with those in service roles? The barista, the driver, the receptionist? Do I let small inconveniences provoke frustration, or do I respond with calm and grace? These aren't abstract philosophical questions, they are mirrors. Mirrors that reveal whether we are becoming the person we aspire to be. Modern Stoicism teaches one key principle: focus only on what is within your control, your actions, your words, your mindset. Everything else, praise, approval, judgment, is outside your command. And when you release the need for external validation, you make space for something far more powerful, inner peace. Here's the core truth. The ultimate measure of a person's character isn't found in how they treat their equals or superiors, but in how they treat those who can neither benefit nor harm them. This standard applies everywhere, from friendships to leadership. A true leader isn't just the one with the title. It's the one who listens, the one who respects every voice, the one who treats others with kindness, even when there's no spotlight, no credit, no reward. Because that's what Stoicism in action looks like. Not lofty speeches, but lived example. This isn't about judging others. It's about becoming better ourselves. When we make the conscious choice to treat everyone with fairness, to practice patience, to lead with empathy, we are living the very virtues that Stoics like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius wrote about with such reverence. And here's the beauty. These decisions, the way we respond to people, the way we manage stress, the way we show up each day, they shape something far bigger than reputation. They shape our legacy. Each small act of respect creates a ripple that encourages others to do the same. When we lead with integrity, when we live with wisdom and courage, we help build a more compassionate, more virtuous world. Because, in the end, it's not our words that define who we are. It's our actions, especially when no one is watching. Previously, we explored how everyday actions, especially those done without recognition, quietly shape our legacy and reflect our deepest values. Now let's zoom in on another revealing area: how we respond to life's small disruptions. Number 2, how they handle minor inconveniences. It's easy to present a calm and composed image when life is going according to plan. But true character is often exposed not during grand, rehearsed moments, but in the ordinary, unpredictable ones. The slow-moving traffic, the misplaced house keys, a wrong coffee order when you're already running late. These situations seem trivial, but they're not. They act like a mirror, quietly reflecting the emotional state within. Epictetus captured this truth perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When something small goes wrong, do we lash out? Or do we remain centered? These seemingly insignificant frustrations strip away the layers of performance. They catch us off guard, before we've had a chance to craft a reasonable response. And in doing so, they reveal our raw temperament. Are we impulsive and reactive, or composed and grounded? Take, for example, a simple scene in a restaurant. One customer receives a cold meal and immediately vents anger at the server, someone entirely uninvolved in the mistake. Another calmly informs the staff and patiently waits for a solution. Same problem, but two vastly different responses. One reflects emotional immaturity and a lack of self-control. The other shows discipline, understanding, and grace under pressure. Picture a traffic jam during rush hour. One driver leans on the horn, gritting their teeth, letting frustration boil over. Another accepts the delay, uses the time to listen to a podcast, breathe deeply, or simply observe the moment without resistance. These responses, born from spontaneous, unfiltered emotion, speak volumes. Why? Because anyone can appear calm when nothing is going wrong. But when pressure builds, when something unexpected disrupts our flow, that's when our true nature surfaces. Stoicism calls us to respond, not react. To cultivate self-control, adaptability, and peace, even in life's smallest irritations. After all, if we can't handle the minor inconveniences with patience, how can we be trusted with greater challenges? In the last section, we explored how small frustrations, like a cold meal or a traffic jam, can quietly reveal the depth of our emotional discipline. But nowhere is this test more constant and visible than in our daily professional lives. Emotional self-control in the workplace hour. Work environments are filled with countless opportunities to either rise with grace or crumble under pressure. Think about it. A delayed email response, a sudden technical glitch, or a last-minute shift in plans. These are not rare events. They happen all the time. But how someone chooses to respond speaks volumes about their emotional maturity. Do they let a small inconvenience spiral into stress and blame? Or do they take a breath, assess the situation calmly, and adapt with clarity? The person who stays composed, even in the face of workplace chaos, doesn't just solve problems more effectively, they lead by example. Their attitude sets the emotional tone of the entire room. A calm presence promotes collaboration and steadiness, while a short temper stirs tension, lowers morale, and disrupts productivity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the essence of Stoic strength. Not in control over circumstances, but in mastery over ourselves. When someone receives the wrong coffee order and still manages a smile, even thanking the barista, that moment isn't insignificant. It reveals something profound: perspective, patience, the ability to rise above ego and expectation. These are not flashy traits, but they are powerful. They reflect emotional intelligence, inner peace, and what practical stoicism looks like in action. Everyday irritations, from a buffering video call to a missed deadline, are chances, not punishments, but opportunities to sharpen our patience and test our emotional boundaries. The choice is always ours. Do we complain and spread negativity? Or do we reframe the moment and grow from it? And here's the ripple effect. Those who erupt over trivial setbacks don't just darken their own mindset, they affect everyone around them. A frustrated sigh, a raised voice, a sarcastic comment about a slow internet connection. These things multiply stress. They poison the air in subtle ways. Relationships strain. Trust weakens. Peace turns to pressure. As Seneca wisely observed, a man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is. The more we obsess over minor problems, the bigger they seem. But when we meet them with calm awareness, they begin to lose their power. So the question becomes, in each moment, are we bringing calmness or chaos? Are we the person who lightens a room, or the one who clouds it? Minor inconveniences aren't just about us. They are reflections of our inner world, and they affect others more than we realize. Choosing patience over anger isn't just about inner peace. It's about building a more harmonious environment, day by day. That's what it truly means. To embody Stoicism, to be the steady harbor in the middle of life's small daily storms. Not just for ourselves, but for the people who share those storms with us. In the last section, we saw how life's small irritations are opportunities, moments, where we can either surrender to frustration or rise with calm and clarity. But Stoic philosophy reminds us, it's not the grand speeches or heroic acts that define us. It's how we behave in the ordinary moments that truly reveals our character. So, when the world throws you a delay, a mistake, or a mess, will you let it own you? Or will you choose patience, resilience, and wisdom instead? As Marcus Aurelius put it, if you are pained by an external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now. The choice is always yours. Now we turn to the third insight, one that often goes unnoticed but reveals more than you might expect. Number 3, how they value time and commitments. If you want to understand someone's character, look at how they treat time, both theirs and yours. Time is the most precious, non-renewable resource we possess. And yet, many people guard their money more closely than their hours. Seneca once warned, "We are tight-fisted with property and money, yet waste time as if it were nothing." This truth echoes through the centuries, and it's still painfully relevant today. How someone handles their time, their schedule, obligations, and commitments tells you everything about what they value. Do they honor their appointments? Do they follow through on what they said they'd do? Or do they make excuses, delay, and constantly shift responsibility? One of the clearest and most consistent indicators of this is punctuality. Being on time may seem like a minor detail, but it's a powerful expression of respect. When someone shows up consistently and punctually, they are sending a clear message. I value your time. I take my words seriously. I am dependable. On the other hand, someone who is habitually late sends the opposite signal, even if unintentionally. Chronic lateness often reveals more than just a busy schedule. It can point to a deeper lack of self-awareness, discipline, or even a subtle belief that their time matters more than everyone else's. Imagine someone who's always late to meetings, to dinner, to important events. They may smile, apologize, and offer explanations, but their actions whisper something else. You'll wait for me. I'm the exception. Would you trust someone like that with important responsibilities? Stoicism teaches us to measure a person not by what they say, but by what they do. And how someone manages their time is one of the clearest, most revealing actions of all. Equally important is how they handle commitments, especially when things get hard. Do they follow through when it's inconvenient? Can they be relied on when pressure mounts? A person who keeps their word, who meets deadlines, honors promises, and doesn't disappear when things get tough, is someone with integrity. And integrity, according to the Stoics, is not a part-time virtue. It's a way of life. As we just explored, how someone treats time and commitments offers a clear window into their character. It's not about schedules, it's about values. And now we look even deeper into that pattern. Do they honor what they promise? A person who consistently follows through, who shows up, delivers, and does what they say they'll do, is demonstrating more than just good habits. They are showing discipline, reliability, and above all, integrity. On the other hand, someone who makes frequent promises but rarely fulfills them does more than inconvenience others. They slowly corrode trust. Their behavior disrupts group dynamics, undermines collaboration, and spreads uncertainty. In Stoic philosophy, your word is your bond. It's not meant to be given lightly. When someone repeatedly fails to follow through, it signals more than just disorganization. It reveals a lack of accountability and often a lack of self-respect. Their behavior says, "My comfort matters more than my commitments." Ask yourself, do the people around me truly honor their word in both personal relationships and professional settings? Do they live in alignment with their promises, or do they speak of responsibility while behaving carelessly? In the Stoic view, keeping your commitments isn't just a sign of good character. It's a direct act of respect. Respect for others, respect for time, and respect for yourself. Now, let's shift focus to another subtle but powerful reflection of character. How someone uses their free time when the obligations are done and the clock has hours to control. What do we choose to do? That choice often speaks louder than what we say we value. Imagine one person spending their weekend volunteering, investing in meaningful relationships, or pursuing a passion project that contributes to their growth. Then picture another person, lost in hours of endless scrolling, mindlessly switching between shows, or numbing their awareness with constant distraction. Of course, relaxation has its place. Rest is vital. But Stoicism urges us to ask, how much of our leisure is intentional, and how much is simply an escape? Time is our most precious limited resource. Once spent, it cannot be recovered. So what are we doing with it? Ask yourself, do my daily habits reflect what truly matters to me? Am I actively shaping my time around purpose and values, or am I letting distractions take the wheel? The Stoics teach us that time is life's greatest asset, not because it can be measured, but because it defines how we live. It's not just about productivity. It's about presence, awareness, intention. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." That sobering line is not meant to create fear. It's meant to create clarity. Time isn't something we can save in a jar. It's not ours to control or postpone. It is flowing, moment by moment, asking only, will we live with purpose or let it slip away unnoticed? After exploring how someone values their time and commitments, we now turn to one of the most intimate measures of integrity, a test not visible to the world, but one that speaks the loudest. Number 4, how they act when no one is watching. There may be no clearer indicator of a person's true nature than how they behave when the spotlight is off. No audience, no applause, no consequences. Just them, their choices, and the silence. This principle lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy, that real integrity isn't about being praised. It's about being consistent, doing the right thing, simply because it is right, not because someone is watching. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, taught that to live in harmony with virtue requires unwavering discipline, especially when no external force compels us. In other words, who we are in private defines who we really are. The truth is, character is often revealed in the smallest, most ordinary decisions. Picture this: someone returning a shopping cart to its proper place, even when it's raining, even when they're in a hurry, and even though no one is there to see it. That simple act, though seemingly trivial, reveals a deep respect for responsibility and community. It's principle over convenience. Now imagine someone else who leaves the cart wherever, thinking, it's not a big deal. No one's watching. That decision, quiet and unnoticed, speaks volumes. It signals a mindset of self-interest, overshared responsibility, and a willingness to cut corners when there's nothing to gain. These are the invisible choices that build a person's ethical foundation, and this behavior extends far beyond shopping carts. Think about shared public spaces, a break room, an office kitchen, a public park bench. The person who wipes down the counter after making a mess, who picks up litter even if they didn't drop it, who refills the coffee pot, they aren't looking for credit. They're living by inner standards. In contrast, someone who leaves a mess behind, expecting others to clean up after them, quietly broadcasts their disregard for those around them. These moments may seem minor, but they ripple outward. They shape culture. They reveal how seriously someone takes their role in the shared human experience. Marcus Aurelius expressed this clearly: what injures the hive injures the bee. To neglect small duties is not just a personal lapse. It contributes to the slow erosion of collective well-being. When people disregard the little things, they reinforce a mindset of indifference. And indifference is contagious. Nowhere is this more powerfully tested than in the moments when we are given the chance to act dishonestly, and no one would ever know. We just explored how character is defined not by what we do when others are watching, but by what we choose when no one is. Now we dive deeper into this idea, because few moments reveal the truth more clearly than when someone is presented with an opportunity to act unethically without any consequence. Imagine this scenario. Someone finds a wallet on the ground. Inside is cash, and no one is around. One person chooses to return it or hand it in. guided solely by an inner moral compass. Another quietly pockets the money, thinking, "No one saw, so no harm done." But according to Stoic philosophy, the greatest harm isn't done to others, it's done to ourselves. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By choosing integrity over personal gain, especially when no one would know, we strengthen our moral foundation. It's like building a wall of inner strength, brick by brick. But the moment we surrender to dishonesty, even in small, seemingly harmless ways, we chip away at that wall. Slowly, we weaken our sense of self-respect and the virtue we've worked to build. The workplace, a mirror of integrity. Nowhere is this inner compass tested more consistently than in the workplace. It's one of the clearest windows into who we really are. Does an employee put in real effort when the manager is away? Do they meet deadlines, support the team, and take responsibility even when no one is checking? Or do they slack off, shift blame, or quietly take credit for what others have done? True discipline, as Stoicism teaches, is self-imposed, not something enforced from above. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. We act virtuously not because we fear punishment, but because it reflects who we strive to become. The power of quiet, unrecognized goodness. Some of the most powerful moments of character happen far from public view. Think of someone donating without leaving a name, standing up for someone being mistreated without expecting thanks, helping a stranger cross the street when no one is around to applaud. These acts, though silent, reveal a moral compass aligned, not with applause, but with principle. They remind us that virtue is its own reward, and that living by inner values brings a peace that public praise cannot match. Private habits shape public character. The way we behave in private eventually becomes who we are in public. If we practice honesty, humility, and self-discipline behind closed doors, these traits become second nature when the stakes are higher. But if we allow ourselves to make excuses, to bend the truth, or to compromise in private moments, we erode the strength we'll need when faced with public trials. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, what we do now echoes in eternity. Every choice, big or small, seen or unseen, becomes a thread in the fabric of our legacy. The modern challenge, living beyond the performance. In today's digital world, much of human behavior has become a performance. People curate their lives for likes, followers, and public approval. But Stoicism stands in direct contrast to that trend. It teaches us that our value is not measured by engagement metrics, but by how we live when there's no reward, no recognition, no one clapping. Stoic life isn't about grand gestures on public stages. It's about quiet, daily discipline. It's about keeping your word. It's about acting rightly, whether or not anyone sees. Final reflection. The Stoic path to integrity. Integrity is not a costume. It's not a moment. It's a way of being. Do we only do the right thing when it's convenient? Or do we live by principle, whether we're praised, ignored, or completely unseen? Seneca put it best, character is what you are in the dark. To walk the Stoic path is to cultivate a life of quiet virtue, knowing that every action, every decision, every unseen moment shapes not only who we are, but the world we leave behind. In the last section, we reflected on how integrity is not something we perform. It's something we practice, especially when no one is watching. But now we come to perhaps the most revealing test of all, number 5, how they handle powerful forces in life. expose a person's true nature as clearly as power. Whether it's a leadership title, social influence, or simply control in a personal relationship, power acts as a magnifier. It doesn't change who we are. It amplifies what already exists beneath the surface. Power reveals virtue or vice. It shines a light on hidden wisdom or exposes unchecked arrogance. As Marcus Aurelius, a philosopher who held absolute power, as Emperor of Rome once said, "The true worth of a man is measured by the objects he pursues." So what does someone pursue when they hold power? That question tells you everything. When handled with humility and wisdom, power becomes a force. For good, it uplifts not just the one who holds it, but everyone around them. It builds trust, fosters respect, and strengthens bonds. But when misused, when rooted in ego or fear, power divides, isolates, and ultimately destroys both others and the one who clings to it. In Stoicism, true leadership has nothing to do with control and everything to do with service. Goal isn't to rise above others, but to raise others up. Leadership as responsibility, not privilege. Picture someone placed in a position of authority for the first time. A Stoic leader doesn't rush to command or demand obedience. Instead, they listen, they support, they seek to understand. They treat their team as allies, not subordinates. They lead by example, with fairness, patience, and accountability. Not because they crave recognition, but because they know that real leadership is built on trust. Now contrast that with someone who belittles others, hoards information, or rules through fear. This kind of leadership may appear strong, but it's rooted in weakness. A fragile ego masters authority. As Epictetus taught, no man is free who is not master of himself. The greatest form of power is self-mastery, the ability to govern one's own emotions, desires, and impulses, rather than being ruled by them. The quiet power of influence. Power doesn't only appear on podiums or in corporate offices. It lives in subtle moments. A person with privileged information, will they use it wisely or selfishly? A social media figure, will they inspire or exploit? A friend who knows your vulnerabilities, will they protect or manipulate? These everyday interactions reveal just as much as any grand leadership moment. Because true power is not about dominance, it's about discipline, fairness, and restraint. As Seneca wrote, he is a great man who can treat his inferiors with kindness as well as his equals. Power in personal relationships. Power exists even in our closest relationships. Between partners, friends, siblings, or parents and children. In conflict, do we listen and seek to understand, or do we use words to wound and control? When we hold emotional influence over someone, do we guide with care or exploit that closeness for personal gain? The fairness, patience, and respect we offer in these everyday relationships shape the level of trust we're able to build or break. A Stoic approach to relationships recognizes that real power isn't in taking control, but in offering strength and stability. The Stoic view power as a tool, not an identity. Power in itself is neutral. It's not inherently good or bad. It's a tool. And just like fire, it can warm a home or burn it down. What determines its value is not the tool itself, but the hand that wields it. And now, with all 5 observations revealed, we arrive at the final reflection, a chance to pull everything together and ask, what do your daily actions say about the character you're becoming? As we explored earlier, power reveals more than it creates, and how it's wielded reflects not just someone's ability, but their core values. Epictetus reminds us, People are not disturbed by things, but by their judgments about things. In the same way, power itself is not the problem. It's our perception and use of it that makes it either corrupting or redemptive. When power is viewed as a privilege, it can inflate the ego, fueling dominance and selfishness. But when power is embraced as a responsibility, it becomes a tool for good, a means of creating connection, building trust, and contributing to progress. To the Stoic, the true test lies not in acquiring power, but in handling it with wisdom, humility, and restraint. Final reflection. The true measure of power, the way someone handles power, whether it's a leadership title, social status, or emotional influence, is one of the most revealing reflections of who they really are. But it's not just about observing others. It's also a mirror for us. Ask yourself, when you have influence, do you use it to support or to control? Do you lead with patience and empathy, or with pride and impulse? Do you remain grounded in values or get swept away by the illusion of superiority? History's greatest Stoics and sages, from Marcus Aurelius to Epictetus, were not shaped by power, but by virtue. They didn't let their positions define them. Instead, they remained anchored in self-discipline, humility, and the constant pursuit of wisdom. And that brings us to a pivotal truth. The clearest measure of character shines when we are given power and must choose how to use it. Will we use it to uplift or allow it to consume us? The choice, as always, is ours. Applying the 5 observations, a practical guide. Let's now bring everything together. Number 1. True character is revealed in small moments. We often look for character in grand gestures, public speeches, dramatic decisions, big achievements. But the Stoics teach us otherwise. What truly defines a person are the quiet, often unnoticed moments. The subtle, consistent behaviors that take place in everyday life. Observe how someone behaves when they think. It doesn't matter. At work, in traffic, in a grocery line, in a conversation with someone they don't need to impress, because that's where their real self shows up. 2. How they treat others matters most. One of the simplest, yet most powerful ways to assess someone's values is by watching how they treat people who can do nothing for them. The janitor, the cashier, the delivery driver, the stranger holding the door. Do they show gratitude, humility, and respect? Or do they act with impatience, rudeness, or entitlement? A person who consistently treats others with quiet dignity, regardless of status, almost always carries that same virtue into their closest relationships. Previously, we explored how observing someone's everyday interactions, especially how they treat others with less power, offers profound insight into their empathy and humility. Now we move further down the list, examining even more subtle but telling signs of character. A simple test of respect. Watch closely. A friend who consistently thanks waitstaff, speaks politely to strangers, and acknowledges others with kindness is far more likely to be trustworthy and emotionally grounded than someone who constantly complains, belittles, or simply ignores people in service roles. These seemingly small actions are signals, quiet but clear, that reflect whether a person's respect is genuine or conditional. Number 3. How they handle stress and minor inconveniences. Another revealing layer of character lies in how someone responds to everyday stressors, the small, irritating moments that test our patience. Imagine you're with someone waiting in a long line at the airport, or dealing with a delay at a restaurant. Do they keep their composure, maybe even make light of the situation? Or do they let frustration take over, snapping at others, sighing loudly, or spiraling into negativity. Stoic philosophy teaches that emotional control, especially in small moments, is a key indicator of personal maturity. Those who remain calm in the face of minor problems are far more likely to navigate serious life challenges with clarity, resilience, and wisdom. Think back. Have you ever seen someone completely lose their temper over slow internet, traffic, or a minor mistake? Now ask yourself, would you feel confident relying on that person in a real crisis? These reactions, though often dismissed as trivial, are powerful windows into a person's emotional discipline, or lack of it. Number 4. How they behave in the workplace. The workplace is one of the most unfiltered arenas for observing someone's true character. In this space, under deadlines and expectations, the masks often slipped at. Do they collaborate with humility? Do they recognize the efforts of others, share credit, and offer support? Or do they subtly or openly take credit, dominate conversations, and dismiss contributions? The difference between a self-aware teammate and an ego-driven opportunist is stark. The former builds people up, motivates others, and creates an environment of trust. The latter brings tension, competition, and ultimately erodes group morale. Ask yourself, in a high-pressure project, would you rather be partnered with someone who listens, adapts, and works for the team, or someone who's only focused on looking good for the boss? Number way, how they act in social settings, even outside of professional environments. A person's behavior in casual social settings reveals just as much. Do they show up on time? Are they fully present in conversation? Do they engage thoughtfully, listening, responding, and showing genuine interest? Or do they constantly interrupt, arrive late without apology, scroll through their phone mid-conversation, or seem distracted and self-absorbed? These behaviors might seem like bad habits, but over time, they paint a picture of someone's values. A friend who makes you feel heard and seen, who gives their attention generously, is often someone who lives with intention. On the other hand, someone who's always mentally elsewhere may be telling you, without words, that their focus lies inward, not outward. And now, in the final section, we'll bring these 5 observations together, not just to understand others, but to turn the lens inward. What kind of character are you building, one small moment at a time? As we've seen, social habits, whether in professional settings or casual gatherings, quietly reveal what a person truly values. And now, we bring everything together with one powerful question: who are you becoming? Let's take a final look at the 5 timeless Stoic observations we've explored. How someone treats others, especially those who can't benefit them. How they respond to stress, frustration, and minor inconveniences. How they manage their time and commitments. How they act when no one is watching. How they handle power, influence, and authority. These aren't just tools to understand others. They're a mirror, a guide for looking inward, for reflecting on the life you're living, and the values you embody. Marcus Aurelius offered us a powerful reminder. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Instead of pointing fingers or labeling others, Stoicism calls us to become the very person we admire. To turn philosophy into practice through our choices, our habits, and our everyday actions. So now, ask yourself, are my words aligned with my values? Am I showing up, even when no one is watching, as the person I aspire to be? Let these questions shape how you treat others, how you lead, how you respond to challenges, and how you carry yourself when no one is keeping score. Because in the end, the most powerful legacy we leave behind isn't what we say. It's how we live. Live with virtue, act with wisdom, and build the kind of character that doesn't need to be announced, only lived.